Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I'm your host Daniel Short. Today is Saturday, April 4th, 2015, and somewhat news for the college football side and also the NFL. We're going to talk about a lot of different things leading up, kind of in a dead period right now as, we're waiting. Pro days have come and gone for majority of the teams. Just trying to get in there those last couple of weeks before we hit the major anticipation of the NFL draft. That is what we've been wanting to hear, what we've been wanting to see. And, of course, there's all this speculation of what's going to happen, with Jameis Winston. Is he the true lock for the number one pick? And Marcus Mariota, he can be anywhere from number 2 to number 20. So where will Marcus Mariota go? Where is everybody else going? Everything. We're getting closer. Again, there's a ton of speculation. It's kind of just wish-wash. You just don't really let it go out one year and out the other because you don't, most of it is just tomfoolery, basically. No one really cares for it. But first, let's talk about some college football news. We'll go in to that and then some NFL news as we wrap up the show. Here we go. Austin, Texas, Tucson, Arizona, Little Rock, Arkansas, and Orlando, Florida have all applied to the NCAA to add new bowl games this season. If approved as expected, there would be a record of 43 bowl games, including the college football playoff title game, requiring 84 teams to fill each bowl. That would mean 66% of the 127 FBS teams would go bowling. Do you agree with that? These cities, Austin, Tucson, Little Rock, and Orlando, solid cities that could host a bowl game. But would you really want 66% of the 127 FBS teams, and of course it's growing about a team each year, to really be in a bowl game? I mean, we saw this past season, well, actually the past couple seasons, we've seen teams that have been, 6-6, around that, making a bowl game. Do we really want more? Do we really want more of those teams? And check this out. 3 of the 4 new bowls would feature teams from the American Athletic Conference, not one of the strongest, of course. If those are approved, that would give the American 9 bowl tie-ins for 12 teams in 2015, the highest percentage of bowl games per conference. By comparison, in 2015, the SEC had 10 guaranteed bids for 14 teams. The Big Ten had 9 for 14. ACC had 9 for 15, including Notre Dame. The Big 12 had 7 for 10, and the Pac-12 had 7 for 12. If the 4 new bowl games are approved, there will have been 9 new bowl games added in the past 2 years. If by comparison, if you want to look 20 years ago, there were only 18 bowl games. That's it. 18, and now we will have 43. Which, I'm a huge fan of bowl games. It's awesome. Teams going to go, majority of them going to go to different states and see different things that they've never really been in that are completely opposite of where they originally play at in a certain geographic region. They're going to go somewhere else that they may have never been before. I think it's awesome. And you also play teams that you normally would not play even out of conference. You wouldn't play them at all. So it gives them something different. I like that, and I like having a lot of bowl games, but, there comes a time where you got to really start restricting who gets in these bowl games and how many there really are, especially with the American, with the American Athletic Conference. That is, one of the weakest conferences out there, and we're giving them the most. I don't know about that. The Cure Bowl, which would be in Orlando, has already has a TV deal with CBS Sports Network and is set for December 19th at the Citrus Bowl, featuring teams from the Sun Belt Conference and the American. I don't know why I'm saying American Conference. The bowl in Tucson, named the Arizona Bowl, will be held at the University of Arizona Stadium, featuring teams from the Mountain West and Conference USA. The bowl in Little Rock will be held at War Memorial Stadium. It will have teams from the American and Sun Belt again. And then finally, the bowl in Austin will feature teams from the American Athletic Conference and Conference USA. It is not known yet where the game will be played, either at University of Texas or in the Austin area, a source said. Fox Sports, CBS Sports Network, and NBC Sports Network are likely networks that will televise the new bowl games, as ESPN and ABC have already said they have no interest in these 4 bowl games and will not televise any of them. They already televised 38 of 39 bowl games, so not bad. Michigan will add one more quarterback to its roster for the 2015 season, and fifth-year senior Jake Rudock. He plans to transfer to the school and play for the Wolverines this fall. Rudock, who started the past 2 seasons at Iowa, received a waiver from the Big Ten that will allow him to play in his first year at a new school. His experience will help him jump all these other quarterbacks that are out there that are basically no names at Michigan right now. Rudock completed 61% of his passes last year while throwing for 2,400 yards, 16 touchdowns. He also had interest from other schools, including Boise State, Fresno State, Vanderbilt, and Maryland. And apparently the College Football Committee said, nope, not changing. They're saying how pleased they were with things, how they went last year, which as a TCU fan, I was not very pleased at all. They're carrying over the same procedures that they did from year 1 to year 2. The committee met Wednesday and Thursday for the first time since it selected its 4 teams in the playoff system on December 7th. Selection Committee Chairman Jeff Long said members undertook a thorough review of how the processes went last year and decided to keep the status quo, saying, quote, "Generally, we think last year went very, very well. We are very pleased with the reaction from the fans across the country. Our goal is to build upon that success. From the southern part of the country, you didn't really get a whole lot of happiness. So, I don't know, Jeff Long. I don't know. All I know is you can't cut out TCU. If we go undefeated or even with 1 loss, there's no way you're cutting us out unless all the teams above us go undefeated. Just saying. What about Alabama? What is going on with the mighty, mighty Alabama Crimson Tide? Alabama spokeswoman Deborah Lane said in a statement Thursday that former defensive tackle Jonathan Taylor is no longer a student at the University of Alabama and is not eligible for readmission. Even though the accuser in Taylor's domestic violence case retook her story to the police and said that, which said that Taylor assaulted her, saying that she did it to herself, basically. She made it up to get back at him for cheating in December, and she thought he was cheating again, so he said that the door was already screwed up. The bruises on her neck were self-inflicted. Yeah. So even with all that, Coach Nick Saban said, quote, "He won't be back with us. This decision has already been made." And this is multiple players that now have been suspended. And now another injury just occurred to Alabama yesterday as freshman running back Bo Scarborough tore his ACL toward the end of the day's workouts. Head coach Nick Saban confirmed the injury. A former 5-star in Alabama's class of 2014, Scarborough clocked at a 4.53 40-yard dash and benched 405 pounds and had the team's best 6 feet. I'm mixing up my numbers right. 10 feet 6 inches on the broad jump. And Nick Saban had this to say: Bo was doing very well, but we've had a lot of injuries, suspensions, and lost people at that position. So what seemed like a pretty strong position depth-wise has gotten a little thin. The worst thing about Bo right now is that this isn't the first time he's tore his ACL, and not the first time he's had multiple injuries that have taken him out for the entire football season. In his freshman year of high school, he broke his ankle. His sophomore year, he tore his ACL. And his junior year, he had a high ankle sprain. All of them were season-ending injuries. So if obviously he must have had one heck of a senior year to go through all of that and still be a 5-star and be recruited by Alabama. And now this. Now a torn ACL in his freshman year of college. It sucks, but hopefully it's just minor things for a major comeback for him. He seems like a great player. But, man, these injuries, definitely a huge concern right there. Moving on to the NFL, free agent safety Dwight Lowery agreed to a deal with the Indianapolis Colts on Friday. The team announced terms were not disclosed just yet. Lowery, who is 29, was a solid player for the Atlanta Falcons last season after signing a one-year deal worth $760,000. He started 15 games and finished fourth on the team with 79 tackles to go along with 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Lowery started his career as a fourth-round draft pick of the New York Jets, played 3 seasons there before getting traded to Jacksonville to play another 3 years. Lowery does have a history with concussions and even experienced one last preseason, but it did not affect his 2014 season as he played 986 defensive snaps, third most among all Falcons on defense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have just wasted a ton of money in the past 3-4 years and have lost a lot of draft picks. Another defensive member has just been traded, and that's Deshaun Goldson has been traded to the Washington Redskins for a 6th-round draft pick in 2016. Golston began his career with the 49ers and was selected to the Pro Bowl following the 2011 and 2012 seasons. The Buccaneers signed Golston to a 5-year, $41 million contract in 2013, and though he never lived up to what they signed him as, now they've lost all of that, and they're still going to pay him $4 million this season to play for another team. Golston had this to say on Twitter. To Buck Nation, I'm sorry things didn't work out the way we both wanted them to. I've learned a lot in the 2 years spent there, and it's been an honor to be a part of the Buck Nation, to play for the Buccaneers and share my time with the community. So Goldson, who used to be that big, heavy hitter for the 49ers that we all remember him as, has really just fallen off. Maybe most of it, a lot of people think it's because of the defensive scheme in that Tampa too. He just really didn't fit in. Because it's hard to see, it's hard to see his caliber, his talent that he had in San Francisco just automatically disappear as he went to Tampa Bay. Excuse me, I don't know what is up with me. It's just allergies in Texas. I swear. Former Florida State defensive back P.J. Williams, a projected early round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, was charged early Friday in Tallahassee by the Florida State University Police Department and charged with driving under the influence. According to the arrest report, Williams, whose legal name is Kenneth Williams Jr., was pulled over shortly after 3 a.m. after stopping during a green light at an intersection and then making an illegal left turn, even though there was a posted sign prohibiting a turn there. The officer pulled him over after he swerved over the lane divider several times. Court records show the officer observed Williams' eyes were red and his speech was slurred. Williams reportedly told the officer he was returning from a local bar and played football for FSU and that he just wanted to go home. He was driving on a suspended license, according to court records. Williams told the officer he was unaware of that. Williams refused to submit a field sobriety test or breath test. The report said the officer then arrested Williams and charged him with DUI. Williams was released from Leon County Jail on a $500 bail later Friday morning, and the jail records did not list an attorney. Excuse me, I'm just out of my game today apparently. P.J. Williams. If you guys remember him, he was, of course, highly touted right now as a top draft pick, but also won the MVP award in the BCS National Championship against Auburn. Big impact there and throughout that year. And last year, pretty solid for Florida State. And, this is the bad time. This is the worst time to do something. And you would think, a player, especially being, a projected first, second round pick, you would think